Our cities are getting crowded. More and more people are living in cities. Our world is changing. By the year 2050, many billions will call cities home. This is a big number. It means cities are growing very quickly. Think about places like Sydney or Melbourne. They are getting bigger every year. This growth puts a lot of pressure on resources. Food is one of the most important resources we need. Supplying enough food for everyone in these expanding urban centres is a massive task that requires careful planning and innovative thinking. As cities grow outwards, they often spread onto land. This land was once used for farming. Houses and roads now cover these old farms. This means there is less farmland near our cities. Food now has to travel longer distances to reach us. This journey can be very long indeed. It takes time and uses a lot of fuel. The quality of the food can also suffer during this long trip. Fresh fruit and vegetables might not be so fresh when they finally arrive in city shops. This affects everyone who buys and eats food. The world's population is not just moving to cities, it is also increasing. More people mean we need more food overall. Traditional farming methods are already working hard. They face challenges like climate change and water shortages. Relying only on old ways might not be enough. We need to find new ways to produce food. These new ways must be smart and sustainable. They need to help us feed everyone, especially in crowded city areas where space is a precious commodity. We must think differently about where and how our food is grown. This combination of growing city populations and shrinking nearby farmland creates a serious problem. It is often called the urban food crisis. How can we make sure everyone in a big city gets enough fresh, healthy food? How can we do this without harming our planet more? These are tough questions we need to answer. The challenge is significant, but it also pushes us to be creative. We need solutions that can work in the unique environment of a city, solutions that are both efficient and kind to the environment for future generations. Feeding millions of people in a single city is a huge logistical puzzle. Think about the journey food takes. It starts on a farm, often many hundreds of kilometers away. Then it is picked, packed, and put onto trucks or trains. These vehicles travel to big distribution centers. From there, food goes to supermarkets and smaller shops. Every step uses energy and resources. This complex system is called the food supply chain. It is long and can be easily disrupted by unexpected events. Current food systems for cities rely heavily on transport. This transport uses a lot of fossil fuels. Burning these fuels creates pollution. It also adds to greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. This contributes to climate change, which is a global concern. The long distances also mean more chances for food to spoil. When food spoils, it is wasted. Food waste is a big problem around the world. We are losing valuable nutrition and resources. This makes the challenge of feeding cities even harder to overcome effectively. Urban areas themselves are not usually suited for traditional farming. Most cities are full of concrete and buildings. There is not much open soil or green space. Parks are for recreation, not for large-scale food production. Some people try small community gardens. These are good, but they cannot feed everyone. Growing food in the ground in a city can also be risky. The soil might be polluted from past industrial use. We need to protect people's health. This limitation makes finding space for growing food a top priority. The demand for fresh produce in cities is high. People want healthy food like leafy greens, herbs, and berries. These foods are often delicate. They do not travel well over long distances. By the time they reach city consumers, they might have lost some of their nutritional value. They might also be more expensive due to transport costs. This makes it harder for city dwellers to access the freshest, healthiest options. This is a key part of the urban food challenge we must address for better public health. Vertical farming is a new way to grow food. It is very different from traditional farming. Instead of big, flat fields, vertical farms grow plants indoors. They grow plants in layers, stacked one on top of another. Imagine a tall bookshelf, but with plants on each shelf. This allows many plants to grow in a small area of land. This method is perfect for cities where ground space is very limited and expensive. It means we can grow food right where people live. These farms are often set up inside buildings. Sometimes old warehouses or shipping containers are used. New buildings can also be designed specifically as vertical farms. The key idea is to go upwards, not outwards. This uses space much more efficiently. A small footprint on the ground can produce a lot of food. For example, one tall vertical farm might produce the same amount of food as a much larger traditional farm. This is a clever solution for crowded urban environments. Vertical farming does not rely on sunlight or natural soil. Instead, it uses controlled environment agriculture, or CEA. This means everything the plants need is carefully managed. Temperature, light, water, and nutrients are all precisely controlled. This creates the perfect growing conditions for plants all year round. It doesn't matter if it is winter outside or if there is a drought. Inside the vertical farm, it is always the ideal season for growing healthy crops. This consistency is a major advantage. This method focuses on growing certain types of crops. Leafy greens like lettuce and spinach grow very well. Herbs such as basil and mint also thrive. Strawberries and other small fruits are becoming more common too. These are crops that people in cities want to eat fresh. By growing them locally in vertical farms, we can supply them quickly. This means fresher food for consumers. It also means less reliance on long-distance transport, which is good for everyone and the planet. Vertical farms use some very clever technology. One common method is hydroponics. In hydroponics, plants do not grow in soil. Their roots are placed directly in water. This water is rich in all the nutrients plants need to grow strong and healthy. The nutrients are carefully mixed into the water. This way, plants get exactly what they need when they need it. This system uses much less water than traditional farming. It is a very efficient way to deliver nourishment to the plants. Another method is called aeroponics. This is even more advanced. In aeroponics, plant roots hang in the air. A fine mist of nutrient-rich water is sprayed onto the roots regularly. This method uses even less water than hydroponics. It also allows more oxygen to reach the roots, which can help plants grow faster. NASA originally developed aeroponics for growing plants in space. Now, this space-age technology is helping us grow food here on Earth, right in our cities. Light is very important for plants. Since vertical farms are indoors, they cannot use sunlight. Instead, they use special LED lights. These lights can be tuned to provide the exact colors of light that plants need most for photosynthesis. This helps plants grow efficiently. LED lights are also very energy efficient. They do not produce much heat, which helps keep the temperature inside the farm stable. The lights can be turned on and off to mimic day and night or to give plants extra growing time. Everything inside a vertical farm is carefully controlled by computers. Sensors monitor temperature, humidity, light levels, and nutrient levels. If something needs to be adjusted, the computer system can do it automatically. This means the plants always have the perfect conditions to grow. This level of control helps to produce high-quality crops consistently. It also means fewer surprises like pests or diseases, which can ruin crops on traditional farms. This makes farming more predictable and reliable. Section 5, Growing Green, Good for our Earth. Vertical farming offers some big benefits for our planet. One of the most important is water conservation. Traditional agriculture uses a lot of water. Much of this water is lost through evaporation or runoff. Vertical farms, especially those using hydroponics or aeroponics, use water much more efficiently. They can use up to 90 or even 95% less water than field farming. The water is often recycled and reused within the closed-loop system. This is a massive saving, especially in dry countries like Australia. Another key environmental benefit is the reduced need for pesticides and herbicides. Because vertical farms are enclosed, controlled environments, it is much harder for pests and diseases to get in. This means farmers do not need to spray their crops with lots of chemicals. Growing food without pesticides is better for our health. It is also better for the environment. Harmful chemicals do not get into the soil or water systems. This helps protect local wildlife and ecosystems from contamination. Vertical farms can also help reduce land degradation. Traditional farming can sometimes damage the land over time. Ploughing can lead to soil erosion. Overuse of fertilizers can pollute waterways. Converting natural habitats like forests into farmland also harms biodiversity. Vertical farms use very little land. They can be built on land that is not suitable for traditional farming, like industrial areas. This means we can leave more land for nature, helping to preserve our precious ecosystems and wildlife habitats. Furthermore, by growing food directly in cities, vertical farms cut down on food miles. Food miles are the distance food travels from where it is grown to where it is eaten. Long food miles mean more fuel is used for transport. This creates more greenhouse gas emissions. When food is grown locally, like in a city vertical farm, it doesn't have to travel far. This reduces the carbon footprint of our food. It is a more sustainable way to feed urban populations and helps combat climate change. Section 6. More benefits, fresh food, less waste. One of the great things about vertical farming is the freshness of the produce. Because the farms are located in or near cities, the food can reach consumers very quickly. Sometimes it can be harvested in the morning and be on a plate by lunchtime. This means fruit and vegetables are at their peak freshness. They taste better and have more nutrients. Traditional produce that travels long distances can lose some of its vitamins and flavor over time. Local growing ensures top quality. Vertical farms can grow food all year round. They are not affected by the seasons or bad weather. Whether it is scorching hot summer or a chilly winter day outside, the conditions inside the farm are always perfect for growth. This means a consistent supply of fresh produce is available throughout the year. Cities no longer have to rely so heavily on importing out-of-season produce from other countries. This consistent local supply helps to stabilize food availability and even prices for consumers. Food waste is a significant global issue. A lot of food is lost or spoiled during long transport journeys and storage. Vertical farming can help reduce this waste. Because the food is grown close to consumers, there is less chance of it getting damaged or spoiling in transit. The controlled environment also leads to more predictable harvests, with fewer losses from pests or disease. Producing food more efficiently and closer to home means more of what is grown actually gets eaten. This is a smarter use of our resources. These farms can also contribute to local economies. They create new jobs in cities. These jobs can range from plant scientists and engineers to technicians and farm workers. Developing a local food production system makes the city more self-reliant. It strengthens the community. It also provides opportunities for education and research into new farming technologies. This can spur further innovation in how we produce food sustainably in urban settings, making our cities more resilient and vibrant places to live. Section 7. Big costs, a tough start for vertical farms. Starting a vertical farm can be very expensive. The initial investment costs are one of the biggest challenges. These farms need specialized buildings or retrofitted spaces. They require advanced technology like LED lighting systems, climate control units, and automated nutrient delivery systems. All this equipment costs a lot of money to buy and install. Finding the capital to get a large-scale vertical farm up and running can be difficult for new businesses or entrepreneurs. This is a significant barrier to entry. Energy consumption is another major hurdle for vertical farms. Because they operate indoors without natural sunlight, they rely entirely on artificial lighting. LED lights are energy efficient, but running them for many hours a day still uses a lot of electricity. The climate control systems that maintain perfect growing conditions also consume significant power. This high energy demand can lead to large electricity bills. It can also mean a high carbon footprint if the energy comes from fossil fuels rather than renewable sources. The cost of electricity can make the produce from vertical farms more expensive than field-grown crops. While consumers might be willing to pay a bit more for fresh, local, pesticide-free food, there is a limit. If the price is too high, many people will not be able to afford it. This could limit the market for vertically farmed products. Finding ways to reduce energy costs, perhaps by using renewable energy sources like solar power, is crucial for making these farms more economically viable and competitive in the long run. Labor costs can also be a factor. While some tasks in vertical farms are automated, they still require skilled workers. Plant scientists are needed to manage crop health and optimize growing conditions. Technicians are needed to maintain the complex equipment. General farm workers are needed for tasks like planting, harvesting, and packaging. These skilled jobs can command good salaries, adding to the operational costs. Balancing automation with the need for skilled human oversight is an ongoing challenge for the industry. Section 8. Other hurdles, making vertical farms common. Scalability is another challenge for the vertical farming industry. While a small vertical farm can produce a good amount of food, Scaling up to feed a large portion of a city's population is a big step. It requires very large facilities and even more investment. There are questions about whether the current technology can be expanded efficiently to meet massive demand. We need to figure out how to build and operate these mega farms in a cost-effective way. This is essential if vertical farming is to make a truly significant impact on urban food security. Currently, the range of crops that can be grown economically in vertical farms is somewhat limited. Leafy greens, herbs, and some small fruits like strawberries are common. However, staple crops like wheat, rice, or potatoes are not yet viable. These crops require a lot of space and energy to grow, making them too expensive for current vertical farming methods. Research is ongoing to expand the variety of crops. But for now, vertical farms complement traditional agriculture rather than completely replacing it for all food types. Finding enough skilled people to design, build, and operate vertical farms can also be tricky. This is a relatively new industry. It requires expertise in areas like plant science, engineering, data analysis, and controlled environment agriculture. Universities and training programs are starting to offer courses in these fields. However, there is still a need for more trained professionals. Building a skilled workforce is important for the growth and success of the vertical farming sector across Australia and globally. Public perception and acceptance are also important. Some people might be unfamiliar with food grown hydroponically or under LED lights. They might have questions about its taste, nutrition, or safety. Educating consumers about the benefits and processes of vertical farming is crucial. Building trust and demonstrating the quality of the produce will help increase demand. Clear labeling and transparency about growing methods can help people feel confident about choosing vertically farmed foods for their families. Section 9, the future is up, food security for our cities. Despite the challenges, the future of vertical farming looks very promising. It has huge potential to transform how we produce food in our cities. As technology improves, the costs of setting up and running these farms are likely to come down. More efficient LED lights, better automation, and cheaper renewable energy sources will make them more affordable. Researchers are constantly working on new ways to make vertical farming more productive and sustainable. This innovation will drive the industry forward. Vertical farming can play a vital role in improving urban food security. By growing food locally, cities can become less dependent on long and vulnerable supply chains. This means a more stable and reliable source of fresh produce, even if there are disruptions elsewhere. In a world facing climate change and unpredictable weather, having a resilient local food system is incredibly important. Vertical farms can provide that stability, ensuring city residents have access to nutritious food no matter what. Imagine cities where fresh food is grown in skyscrapers, in repurposed buildings, or even underground. This is not science fiction, it is becoming a reality. These farms can be integrated into urban planning, creating greener and more self-sufficient communities. They can provide fresh produce for local restaurants, schools, and hospitals. They can also serve as educational centers, teaching people about sustainable food production. This vision of a food-producing city is exciting and achievable. In conclusion, vertical farming offers a revolutionary approach to urban food production. It addresses the critical issues of population growth, shrinking farmland, and the need for sustainable practices. While there are hurdles like initial costs and energy use, ongoing innovation is tackling these. Vertical farming is not just a niche idea, it is a serious solution. It has the power to make our cities healthier, more resilient, and better fed. The future of food in our urban landscapes is quite literally looking up.